And that is my makeup. We're live. Hi guys, welcome back to another video. I'm Olivia Gold. I'm so excited to be back on my channel today to have a bit of story time. I get loads of comments, you guys, from my first video, which actually is a bit of a career kind of journey story, introducing myself, how I got into the marketing industry, and so on and so forth. So I thought I would give a bit of an update, my foot in the door, how I started, get right to it. And I just went on my YouTube page the other day and I just saw a comment like, can you tell me about like the courses you did and things like that? And I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. So people are still interested, more than happy to help and share some information, give my experience, and hopefully that helps you guys as you guys are finding your feet, choosing your courses, graduating. Life's all about experiences and trying new things. So yeah, let's get right into it. Let's rewind and go back to the beginning, just do a bit of an updated one. At university, I studied marketing and media communications. That's a mix of obviously traditional marketing, but also comms, specifically talking about media and working behind the scenes from a media perspective across public relations and communications. I graduated with a 2-1. I don't know what that is for American students. Maybe one of you guys can tell me in the comments. I really enjoyed my degree. Like, I don't regret it. I didn't wish I did something else. I think it was the perfect mix because I did like traditional marketing, understanding business, first did P&L, understanding what profit and loss means, did media communication side, and I loved that part of my degree. My dissertation was on advertising and really just decoding of the insights and what was the kind of triggered and consumer behavior that makes consumers like myself and you purchase products. And I loved and still do love fashion. That's how I got my foot in the industry and into fashion marketing. So for me, when I was trying to figure out what industry or category to talk about, it was quite easy for me because growing up I had loads of magazines at home which my mum collected. She loves fashion. I used to look through magazines and I just love ad campaigns. I would look through them, and ones that stuck out for me was luxury fashion, which was nice, looking at Dior, Louis Vuitton, all of that. But I loved perfume adverts. It was so creative, and as we know, they sold sex, to be quite honest. There's always a male and a female, always some sort of intimate shot. It was always a woman in their extreme femininity and a man in their masculinity, and bridging that gap of people coming together, dating, going out. I just thought it was always quite mysterious. There was a bit of mystique. From a consumer perspective, I just loved it. I just thought it was just great to look at. What the title is, because I don't have my paper with me, it's at my dad's house, but it was basically around decoding perfume adverts, and they sold sex. They use different sort of sentiments in terms of relationships and sexuality to sell perfumes that we all know and love today. Finished with my degree and I was looking for a job, as we all do when we finish university. And for me, getting into the fashion industry at that time, fashion marketing wasn't so known. It was quite traditional. I actually started looking for PR internships because there was a lot of PR internships available at PR agencies and in-house at brands. So I applied. I think I was applying for a good year. Interviews in between that time, but honestly, they were just not successful. And it weighs down on you mentally. You have to have this just continuous drive, and it's very draining when you're a graduate, you don't have money, you don't earn a salary, you're just fresh out there in the world. And I just don't think nothing prepares you for the real world. Nothing. When I look back, I'm just like, bloody hell. Wish someone told me, but yeah, I just wasn't prepared. Like, you just have this kind of picture in your mind in terms of how it will be. Like, you'll have your degree, you'll have this big accomplishment, you go into a company, you have the interview, and they'll just be so amazed by what you achieved and they'll give you the job. No, it wasn't like that for me at all. A lot of hard grafting, a lot of rejection, to the point where I was just like, is this for me? Stuck it out, like truly thugged it out. So I really hope anyone else there that is struggling, especially in this economy that we're in 2024, it's hard out here, and I know that. You just have to continue. There is no magic wand. Obviously today with social media, it does make access a bit easier, so you can reach out to people if you're looking for the right people that can help connect the dots, but the grind is still the grind, so you still have to persevere and keep at it. Was looking for ages. I had internships at PR agency. I went to get coffee room folding clothes, products that were coming back. I would unbox them, run errands, dropping it to shoots, not staying at the shoots, you bit and then you leave. Did get one marketing internship, and it was at Hello magazine. I'm like, why am I talking like I can't disclose the names? I can, because I've been there, done it. I worked at Hello magazine in the UK, 5 days. And back then, like, I didn't have money because I worked in retail, but I worked an 8-hour shift a week. So in terms of my pay, I don't know what that was, maybe it was like £180 a month, like literally like nothing. A friend went to uni near their head offices, so I basically shared a room. I crashed at her house for the week, basically her student house, so I could walk there, do my internship and come back, because I wouldn't be able to afford to get back on the train and go to the other side of London. So my parents' home, which is in the north side of London, and their head offices were south east, so every day zone 1 to 5 is expensive. That's like my whole month's pay. I wasn't sick that week at work because it was only like 2-4 hour shifts. So I was like, I'm gonna give that up so I can get this experience. So I crashed at her place in her room, and yeah, I walked there back and forth for 5 days. In the cupboard, I organized the magazines, told me certain emails to send. A lot of them was more about paid advertising, because for magazines, that's how they make their money, doing paid advertisements with other businesses and brands. Sent out documents. Sometimes clothes did come in, because of course they would do interviews and shoots with celebrities. They took that in. And yeah, I was there for 5 days. There's only so much you can do in 5 days. And the first day is always a bit like, what am I doing? Because you're just there to settle it in till they tell you they need something. So I did that, but majority of my internships was in PR. It was hardly any marketing. I got that Hello magazine internship by just calling the magazine head office, and I'm like, hey, I'm really keen, I really want to work in marketing, can I come in and just work there for 5 days for free? Like, I just asked them, basically begged. So they were like, yeah, why not? They're probably like, we can use her. So for 5 days, I interned at a couple more PR agencies. PR agency, which I thought was cool, they were really small and they were above Topshop, and obviously Topshop in the UK was major then. I'm talking about 2013. One of the PR managers, she actually taught me how to write a press release. So she printed off a press release that she had done, and she coded it and basically asked me to write it again. That was really nice. I'll never forget that, because that's like the bread and butter about PR, to sell into media and awareness and more mass media appeal. So I've got a couple of brands or agencies on my CV post graduating. Now let me start applying for jobs. I was also applying for jobs at the same time. I need money. So I was applying for ages, getting a internship at a global agency called Ketchum. 3 months, but the previous person basically finished up early because they got a job. So mine ended up being 5 months, because I took over her last 2 months and then I did my 3 months, which was good, because really that's basically half a year experience in-house within a PR agency, which was great. So that was a really cool internship, because I actually worked with really nice people and I'm still friends with them today, and I still have relationships with them. So I actually appreciated that time. It was hard because there were some mean people there too. Of course, I'd done internships, it was like a week, 2 weeks, but this was like full on 5 days a week, 9 to 5. I was getting paid minimum wage, which was around, at the time, between £800 and £900 after tax, which was great, because from earning 0 to 800, like, that's balling, right? So, and that was in East London when their offices was there. And at the time, their clients was Philips, you know, like Philips the ironing board, Head and Shoulders. So they had makeup, I forgot which one, I think it was Revlon or Maybelline, one of them two anyway. They had Adidas, and they had a food department. Their client at the time was Lloyd Grossman. Actually had account executive, which is entry level, as my line manager, and she was so lovely. Isabella is her name, never forget it. We still have each other on LinkedIn, and she was just super positive. We would come in before 9 o'clock, so we'd get in at 8:30, because at 9 a.m. every morning we would gather around a table and go through all publications, newspapers and magazines. And basically what we would do in the morning is spot all PR across even other brands, competitors, and even our clients. The purpose of that, which was great learnings, is to spot what was a good media pitch and what landed. So for me, like being in training, so to speak, working with like professionals, I was identifying what was a good PR piece and what wasn't. Maybe a good research piece or consumer research that they use to actually get media attention. We would do that every morning, which would take us maybe an hour. and then obviously we'll go back to our desk. But I actually really enjoyed that because we would get together and then everyone would go through the magazines, circle one, then everyone would go around and call out what was a PR piece that they spotted in the magazine. So that was great learnings for me, never forget that. So sometimes even now when I get newspapers and magazine, I can spot it just because I used to do that every morning for 5 months. So grassroots learning, getting on the ground and getting into it. At the time, Vine was really popular. Remember Vine? Before Snapchat, a huge social media platform, and Twitter was becoming big. It makes me sound old, I'm not that old, I'm early 30s, but at the time Twitter was huge and Vine was huge. Instagram wasn't that huge at the time. I remember after leaving, then I really started using Instagram. Remember, I had to go and take a Lloyd Grossman bottle, which was tomato sauce, like pour it and do a Vine about it. So that was some of the PR stuff that basically we were told to do. And if you think now we've got social media agencies, but then it was kind of thrown into a PR agency to do. Would also manage Twitter accounts. So I did a bit of work, a couple of weeks on Philips account, which was huge. Obviously Philips is a huge electrical heritage brand. Like they've got cool ironing boards and straighteners. I definitely wasn't confident. I was super shy. I didn't speak up. So I was like, I would say like a yes girl. I'm like, yeah. You know, you're just so grateful to be there that you're not really exuding any sort of quality. You're just assimilating to the environment. At the end of it, I didn't want to leave. I wanted a paid job. Like I needed a job. So I did that for 5 months. I kept in touch with the account manager, Mary. She's amazing and she's gone on to do many things with the account execs, one who lives in Dubai and the other one who's actually started a coaching business. So like your career evolves, it goes on to so many things. To that, I couldn't find a job. So I ended up taking a temp job at Transport for London, which is our transport services. And I worked in their head office and procurement assistant. Any like expenses that needed to be like processed, I would do it for the senior people. Honestly, I worked with a lady, she was super cool. The pay was good, I took it, and yeah, it was just a job to get by. Maybe like 3 months, 3-4 months, and I did that. Obviously you have to come in office attire, so I had to buy like a skirt, formal trousers to the corporate environment. And that was interesting. I saw Boris Johnson cycling one day. So anyone that knows that, he was a former prime minister, MP. Yeah, I don't know my politics. Anyway, moving on. Saw him one day cycling into the head office. I did that, that was cool. But yeah, I was applying in the background. Like when I got home, I was looking, I was still interviewing. And then I had an interview at a really, really small beauty company. And they were just on the outside of London, but like I lived in North London. They were on the outskirts of North London. So to drive there was like 25 minutes. So it wasn't even far. So I interviewed there. And then I was like, honestly praying, just like hoping that God, like this is it. Like I've been trying now, that would have taken me to 2 years now, post-graduating university. So like I was super fatigued, I was over it. I was like, I just need anything. So I interviewed at this small company, got to the last stage and I got the job, I got the offer. And at the same time, the Transport for London company, recruitment agency that got me the job, called me and they said they actually want to offer me a permanent position. And I was like, oh, cool. So I was just so conflicted. Job, the pay was good. I think it was like 26k, and from graduating uni and going on 26k, that was insane. This is 2012, 2013, guys. That's a lot of money back then anyway. Now it's peanuts. But the job was a marketing, PR and comms assistant. So for me, that was it. Like that's what I studied, that's always what I've wanted to do. It's always something that I wanted to get into, so this was my time. And the pay was 18k, so that's a good £8,000 difference. And with someone with no money, that's money. So I remember I was being conflicted. Call my 2 older brothers, like obviously they're in their jobs and in their career. And one of my brother told me to go for what I wanted, the other one told me to go for the money. I understood why they said that based on their career paths. So I ended up taking the marketing assistant job because I've studied for it. I've worked for free for so long. I'm not gonna now not do it because there's more money. I was just like, I still at home. I'm gonna get my feet in the door. The time is now. Because if I start going for money, it's always going to be the case and I won't ever make that transition to pivot into what I truly passionately want to do. So I'm happy I did make that decision. Small company, but I literally did everything. I did PR, writing press releases for every nail polish collection launch. I we worked with a PR agency for that. I did the marketing, so I did the newsletters, I did the website copy, we rebuilt the website, so I did all the comms, I did the social media, I did the Instagram, I did the Facebook. Oh my God, I did it all. We had to send it to certain like magazines, professional beauty magazines. I would send it there. I would create all the editorials that need to go to these magazines. Thinking about like, I've worked in my time. So I did that for 2 years, well, 1 year and 8 months. And I hated it after a while, just because small company. I'm grateful for it, obviously, looking back. For like a nail polish, it was an American gel polish brand, and at the time gel polish wasn't huge, so it was only big in the professional beauty world. You know, manicurists would use it. So it was a mix of B2B and B2C, because it was stocked in some retailers. It was stocked in John Lewis, it was stocked in M&S, and it was stocked in Selfridges, but really small, so really small like visibility, but it was big in the B2B space. So for professional nail artists, every year we worked at a professional beauty trade show for 2 days, from morning until night, and we would get paid £200, and obviously that was tax-free because it was cash in hand. But those 2 days were treacherous. Oh my God, I even forgot that I did that. Picked up at like 7 AM so we can go there, set it up, be on stand, take everything down. We should have got more like £500. And if you think, they would make so much money, and they would give us like £200 each. That was maybe like 8 of us. So if you think about how much they probably made, and only maybe giving 8 people 200, you do the math, that's not that much. But anyway, that's another story for another day. At that year mark, and I was like, I want more. It was a small company outside of London, it was family owned. Did learn a lot, but I just think they wasn't known, so how am I gonna get like another job? And that was me being quite naive. But I got let go. Looking back, I actually got let go, and the reason being is I was so bored, so fatigued. I really didn't like it. Like, I was kind of mini depressed at that time because I just wasn't happy. And then an opportunity came up via a friend to work on this fashion show within our community, within Ends, and it was putting on a show, and we were asked to do the PR and marketing, and I was just like, that's so cool. We would meet every like Thursday, and everyone obviously had jobs, and we would put it on. It was self-funded by a great friend of ours, and it was great. And we did the press release, we got in media titles, we also did a PR event and was able to host it at the W Hotel for free. Think about the W Hotel today, that's still an upper echelon spot hotel, and we was able to pitch it and win it. We invited loads of UK celebrities, UK influencers, UK tastemakers, UK artists, and it was a show-stopping event. So if you think, I'm working this mundane job, so to speak, but outside of work, like, I'm making these huge strides. So I think for me, when I look back, I've just always wanted something more, and when I was somewhere, it just wasn't enough. That made me a bit slack, a bit sloppy, which I got called out on, and she was like, I know you're not happy here, but just like, when you're here, like, do the best that you can. And I definitely think that was probably immaturity coming from my side, not being able to think about, this is a job that pays, you're learning, and then you can use that to fuel all your other things. But sometimes as well, when you work at these establishments, when you do outside things, I feel threatened. That's another video for another day. I called in sick, and yeah, I called in sick, but it's basically because we had that big PR launch at the W Hotel, and obviously it finished at like 2 in the morning. We had to wait for everyone to go home, and I was knackered. Like, I was like, I'm not gonna make it to work the next day. So I called in sick, and then I remember at the end of that day, she called me, she was like, I know you wasn't sick, you was out at an event last night, so don't bother coming in the next day. And I was like, it was a crazy moment. But then I wasn't upset about it. Like, I wasn't. A lesson to be learned there, guys. I'm sharing that so you guys don't follow my footsteps, but like, I did my time, and probably looking back, I probably just left. You come from humble beginnings, you just don't leave when people are paying you. You've got to leave when you've got something else. That was my mentality. I think from an abundance mindset, I should have just left, especially because I still live at home. I didn't have financial strain except my car at the time, which was just insurance, which was £125. I will never forget that. I should have just left, but I stayed till, I guess, they let me go. Then I was looking for a job in January, and then by June I started a job. And this was at a branding agency. I've gone around the houses, guys, and I didn't know what it was. Their website was really elusive. I ended up working in client services, which is basically like account management. And I worked there for 5 months and worked me hard. Like, I would start at 9, leave at 8 sometimes, and I was just an account exec. And I was just trying to figure it out. Like, I just didn't understand the structure of the business. No one really told me or coached me, so I felt like I was just there trying to figure out. Anything that they told me to do, I would do it. But now looking back and understanding what it is now with years of experience, they're a branding agency, so clients come to them to give them a new logo. So they had a strategist that would work with them to understand their business proposition, give them a brand identity. That we had a creative team, so a designer who would create the logos for the website, merchandise, point of sale, everything across the brand. And then they would work with services just to help them work with their internal comms team to obviously do a relaunch of their brand identity. So it was still creative, but it was just branding, but like logo design. So they were a brand design agency, like a cement company, firm. So yeah, I was there. Yeah, when I look back, did I learn anything there? Not necessarily, I don't think so. I don't think I was given the right ship to coach me, so I felt like I was just chasing my tails constantly. And looking back now, I didn't realize I was burnt out. I experienced a lot of racial bias. I should definitely talk about that in a video as a black woman in marketing and what I've experienced, because that was heavy. Contract ended and I was like, okay, cool. And looking back, what was cheeky was I wanted a day off because my boyfriend, who's now my husband, got us tickets to see Bryson Tiller in Paris. So all I needed was a Monday off, and she never gave me that Monday off. A week before that, they told me that they're not renewing my contract. So she was like, oh, you can have that, you know, Monday off now. I'm like, we had sold the tickets because you weren't gonna give it to me. I need to talk about my experiences and dealing with racial bias, because I'm giving you guys my experience, but I need to give you the real tea and how I've seen and heard some things. But let's wait for another video. Got a fashion PR job in luxury but premium brand, and I was officer, which is great because for me I was like, fine, I'll go into PR, like that's my thing. I've worked in it as an intern. I've got my feet wet. This branding agency doesn't work for me. PR, marketing, comms assistant was the bread and butter. I learned a lot, so I know I have a lot to give here. Then I worked here for like 3 months because another racist situation happened. That role entailed basically pitching to media and press. Doing breakfasts was a lot of PRs and media brands because everything was in-house. So of course, making sure that we get the clothing on celebrities. And I remember at the time, Maya Jama stylist was like a friend of mine, and she was like, hey, we'd love to get Maya Jama in this. And I remember speaking to my manager at the time, who was an online content manager, and I was like, hey, really want to give this to Maya. And she was like, she doesn't really fit the brand. And I was like, and she was building momentum at the time. Obviously, Maya Jama presents Love Island. She's a huge UK presenter, and she basically was like, no. And yeah, I'll tell you about that story because that one, it needs its time so I can speak on it from a detailed place. I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna do PR anymore. I only did it because I couldn't find a marketing job, so I did it because I know how to, but I don't really have a passion for it. So that was my last straw. I was like, the next job I got has to be a marketing job. Didn't work for 9 months. I freelanced for a bit, which was cool. I was like, wanted to get a role that I actually wanted. And then I got a role in corporate, and it was for another transport company. When I go into corporate, clearly transport's where I go. And I was a brand campaign support manager. And I did that for just under a year. Worked with media agencies to do the line campaigns, which is out of home, posters, 3D 6 sheets where you see on the bus stops, all of that branding. Worked with cool agencies, and obviously it's corporate, so the messaging is not as sexy as it is now that I work in lifestyle, beauty, FMCG. But then yeah, I did that, and then I went into a fashion marketing manager role, which I really liked at Debenhams, which is obviously a popular UK retailer for us in the UK. And I actually really enjoyed that job. I worked with the best girls, such fun girls. I planned shoots, we planned the outfits, I worked with the buying and merchandising team. I did the whole process from planning the seasonal calendar, plotting that in, working with buy-in, seeing all the clothes that were in for the season, creating stories out of it, you know, working on different branding names. I didn't go in shoots, but I would brief photography and the photography team and the overall creative to make sure we got the right shots for online and social, really execute that and manage that as that rolled out. So that was such a good experience because I've really learned the retail industry and how we work seasonally to make sure we get stuff on the racks for, you know, girls like us to shop. I worked in women's wear, men's wear, home and kids. Did marketing for the whole family basically. Worked there for 2 years and I was ready to move on. At the time the business was facing a lot of financial issues, so I didn't know if the business was gonna overcome it. The CMO left, a lot of people were leaving, like quite senior, so I was like, I don't think this is gonna go well. And obviously, you know, when you work in companies, people start talking. So I was like, let me start applying because I'm ready to move up, but there's no opportunity here because the business isn't making money. So I would look for a job. And I got a job at a company that is really cool. It's different because it's fashion and luxury, but it was in tech and data. And basically the business provide tech solutions for the fashion and luxury industry. And I was a marketing manager for UK, but after a year I became the marketing manager for the UK Northern Europe, which was really cool. I would travel to Spain every half a year because that's where the global business sat, and all the leads from every market would go there and do like big meetings, and they would do company trips. So I traveled a lot. I traveled to Greece for company trips. So this job really allowed me to immerse myself in fashion, pure brand partnerships for the British Fashion Council, Fashion Trust Arabia. So I actually did things out of my scope and was able to really immerse myself. So my job was attending fashion weeks, attending fashion breakfasts to really understand who the main designers are, who's coming up, because so that we can offer them those tech solutions. And I loved that job. I nailed it. I smashed it. And then we went into lockdown as the business was growing. So my role pivoted because we did more things online. I did lives. I did so much looking back. I did that for 2 years, and my role was putting on events as well. I collaborated with so many cool private members clubs. Ship was Soho House for free. Oh my God, I did so many things with industry leaders and invite our clients, and our clients were marketing officers, marketing directors, marketing managers, PR directors, PR managers that will come to our events to understand the trends, tech and data perspective, and understand using our services would help them assess their marketing investments. So the business actually used to be Fashion GPS. So anyone that's worked in fashion, worked in PR would know who they are, because when you would loan products out, you would use the actual technology to do it, track it and make sure it's returned back in this PR room. So that was the business's kind of bread and butter, and they involved with their tech and data platform, which like influencer tracking platforms, platforms from a press perspective, to track all the creative, all the marketing campaigns. Did it gain the traction that it needs to versus the investment that the marketing team had done? So part of my role was kind of working with the marketing and PR teams to understand our reports, our insights, and also our tech operations. So they would buy it on a subscription basis. Part of our roster. I worked with Louboutin, we worked with Coach. I worked on the partnerships as well. Fashion industry bodies, industry leader within tech for the fashion and luxury industry. So I just finished working in-house in a retailer. I had worked with the clothes, doing the campaigns, but this was a bit different because I actually worked from a data perspective, services for brands, which is imperative on what they all use today, just to help them track their marketing investments. So I went into lockdown, so the business pivoted, so then I left contract job and I worked at Marks and Spencer. I was a marketing manager for the UK, and I originally started off in menswear, kind of similar to what I did at Debenhams. So every season we would work with the buying and merchandising team. They would take us through all the collections, come up with a the different kind of like seasons and themes. We would build that into a campaign, and this role was quite interesting because at Debenhams I never used to go in shoots, but for the UK, marketing managers had to go in shoots because you need to make sure the right product is captured for the story and where it sits, if it's online, if it's going to be in billboard, is it going to be, you know, across the different merchandisers or the storefront. So that was cool because I worked with a lot of models. I worked closely with the creative and photography teams. So I did that for half of my contract, and then after I pivoted to the main campaign team, so doing all the big above the line campaigns, which was really cool. Worked closely with social, PR, worked with everyone, but I was a main marketing manager for menswear, which was really, really cool. And my contract finished and I got a job at TikTok. So my job there was live stream campaign planning manager lead. Job was, I basically created my job because at the time TikTok live stream just landed in the UK, so there wasn't really a blueprint in terms of how it is today. So everyone that was recruited around this season was building it from the ground up. The company is Douyin, which is obviously based in China. My job, I sat in between the account managers that manage the brands that sell product on TikTok, with the creator managers who manage the creators who actually put the creators forward to do these live streams and different campaigns. Really interesting because I really immersed myself in a social first way, and I learned so much because there wasn't a blueprint. You had to create it and figure it out yourself. Working with a team in China, I worked crazy hours to the point that I definitely experienced burnout. Did that for just under a year. That was the first time in my career. Gosh, I'm not happy. That was huge. Did about it, I promoted it. It was a big part of my identity, but I was working crazy hours to the point where it wasn't really healthy. One time I finished the campaign, did the work, and the campaign was just about to go live, and so many things went wrong. So many creators pulled out because of sickness, personal reasons. And because I was the only one that worked in beauty and personal care, it was all on my shoulders, and the pressure just got to me and I cracked. And I remember just crying, and I was like, I can't do this. Because the business was so raw and new, there wasn't that many stakeholders within the UK business to facilitate when things go wrong. You have to figure it out, but how the team work and the business work is very different. It's not a UK business, so you're working with different cultures and trying to understand their professional environment and how they cooperate, and it just wasn't healthy. It wasn't best for my well-being. So that was the first time in my life that I made a decision and chose to not be here, and resigned and worked at ASOS for a couple of months. I was the senior marketing manager for ASOS Marketplace, so that's where their vintage and resale products are stocked, and that was really cool. So doing all the campaigns, stories, working with the different business owners, vintage boutiques. So I did that, but then that business wasn't doing so well either, and they made a load of redundancies, and I was part of that. Only after being there for a couple of months, I was just like, oh. Me in the industry 12 years, 11 years, like looking for something different. Then do I go out and start freelancing now, start my own agency? But then this opportunity fell on my lap, and I was really praying and meditating on terms of like, God, where should you take me? And then I got the job that I'm in now within FMCG. I work for the big three, so to speak, and like in a really cool space within wellness. And I definitely think this role, this experience is really going to take me onto new heights. It's like a re-up in terms of my journey. A couple lessons that I took from all of these different experiences and jobs is, I think I've said this before in a previous video, but I'll say it now, where you work is the work that you do. Of course, who you know matters, but in terms of being good at what you do, because loads of people work places, but that doesn't mean they're good at what they do. But depends on obviously how you think, how you see yourself. It's important to see yourself highly and make sure that you're doing the best. So just make sure when you're in a role, you're getting the right experience and you're exposed to the right experience. Job, like I did everything. I built the website, I did all the copy on that website, I launched the Instagram page, I did the Facebook page, I would do the newsletters. In today's world, that's how many teams? That's the digital marketing manager, that's a social media manager, that's a content manager, doing the press releases with the agency. I did it all. Really helped build my general expertise within marketing. Well, like TikTok was amazing because I was able to be specialized within a certain area, which is obviously social and streaming, which is huge at the moment. How to run live streams like the back of my hand because I built them myself for the UK business. I was able to launch the first beauty campaign, so that is huge to say. So one thing I will say, don't let the bad times like knock you. It will knock you for a bit temporarily, but it's only temporarily. Those times, it felt like it was forever. It felt like the weeks were long, the months were long, but there's always light at the end of the tunnel and you always get something. It might not be what you want, but you might have to do something to get you to the next phase, and that is okay. Not everything needs to be like the reality show, The Hills. If you know, you know. Not everything is like perfect where you work for like Vogue and then you go on these trips. Like, it's not everyone's story, and I think it's okay to be comfortable with humble beginnings, because the lessons and the expertise that you build sets you up for success when you're in those flashy jobs, flashy roles, and enjoying the role. Sometimes you do have to do the hard grafting. It's my journey. As you can hear from that, there's jobs that didn't end well, there's jobs that were amazing, there was jobs that I'm able to travel around the world in, there's been jobs that I've gone to fashion shows, jobs that I've just got coffee, just got tea, wasn't doing much, I was in the stock room. So career journey is straightforward, it's always linear, and it hasn't been easy. There's times that I've questioned, should I be doing this? Should I take these jobs? But nothing really can answer than life experience itself. Have to do if you're willing and see what comes out of it. Scares you, you should try and do. And I say that even with YouTube itself. This is a new area for me, building this platform and sharing my expertise rather than just, you know, being a marketeer, working in these establishments, climbing the ladder. But what am I offering back to people who, like yourself, who want to get in the industry, don't know where to start? Okay, I'm in this job, this is what it looks like. Is that normal? Is it okay? Don't know anyone or don't see yourself. How are you supposed to know? Like a personal mission of mine to offer that. That's why I'm going to be here talking a lot, because I have a lot to say, because I've been through some things. So that's kind of a bit of an updated journey in marketing, within fashion marketing, working on campaigns, pivoting out of fashion, going into beauty, going into streaming, and now I'm in FMCG lifestyle. So I know this is really shaping up to be a really cool career going forward. And if you think I'm just in my early 30s, you look at all the C-suite, they're late 40s, 50s. Some obviously young people that have climbed to the top, which is great, but that's not everyone's story, and everyone needs to understand that we do consume and see a lot online, even from a professional career point of view. Important that you don't compare yourself and understand your journey is your journey. That's why I'm here to tell you my journey, so you can see and understand that it doesn't have to be perfect. Bad stuff has happened, but great stuff has happened too, and it's all adding value, it's all adding expertise, it's lessons learnt if you're willing to receive it and take the lesson in. That's a bit of a brain dump of my journey. Go back to my first video. I haven't even watched that back. I should just remember what I said, but hopefully this is a bit of a newer version. It's actually becoming more of a specialist than a generalist now. Quite interesting, so I should probably talk about that in another video. Every time I talk to you guys, I think of more things I need to tell you. That's it, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this marketing journey, or my marketing journey within fashion, and how I pivoted out and have evolved. It's been a 12-year career so far. People that inspire me, there's two specific people that I look up to. I look up to Zoma St. John. If you know her, you know she's a big force, a big personality, and she's cultivated the corporate world, and now she's flying her wings. And I love that, because again, you can live many lives, and it's important that as women, specifically black women, that we are given that opportunity. There's also another lady who I know dearly, Stephanie Horton. She is now the consumer director at Google, and she was a CMO at Farfetch. So she started off in fashion and she's pivoted into the consumer world, tech world. Another example, you can start off in a certain industry and pivot. I've seen women create their own stories and narratives and not leaving their destiny in other people's hands and creating it themselves. So that journey too, and hopefully you guys will join me with that and learn something and pick up some things. Make sure you like and subscribe. I really want to get 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2024. I know that's a reach. Q4, I want to be consistent, have a video every week, and hopefully this community will build. And yeah, this life of a marketing girl, even slash guy, will grow even bigger, and we can actually be a cool, fun community of marketers, go-getters, willing to smash this thing. Yeah. Anyway, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.